Just mindful, it's Johnny Sexton's last ever captain's run at the Six Nations game. Just speak a little bit to the contribution he's made to the competition throughout his career.
Where do you start? How long have we got? Johnny's Johnny. You know, he's going to be hopefully he's going to be the record point scorer tomorrow as well, in terms of points scored in a Six Nations, taking over from Rog and Agora. But I think his presence and the way he teaches people, and people get to understand why he is as good as he is through his excellence and through his drive to become excellent, and be bloody-minded and hard-headed, really, in terms of, you know, playing to his potential, chasing his potential continually, every single session. I think players have really thrived on the back of that and learnt a lot from Johnny on the back of that. What it means to play for his country is huge. You know, he epitomises the whole thing. So he's been a great leader. He's got an amazing knowledge of the game. So working with Johnny, you know, you can let him go and he'll run the show. So it's just making sure that he puts the best performance in tomorrow, because that's what it's all about, really. It's not about Johnny and his last game or his last captain's run. It's about the performance of the team, which is crucial for us tomorrow.
Just sort of the back three there, unchanged again for the fifth game in a row, you have Max Hansen, who's won 3 Man of the Match awards in 8 games. He's been functioning incredibly well. Bonus points in every game except the last game. How happy have you been with the way the attack has functioned in this competition?
Yeah, we've been in drips and drabs. You know, I don't think we've really nailed our attack in terms of where we'd like to be. But partly of that is because you're coming against some exceptionally good defences. I thought Scotland tested us. They defended very well last week. They were very physical, and it's something that England will bring tomorrow. So it's making sure that when we get those opportunities, that we're ruthless with those opportunities. We have to score those points when we get the opportunity to do it, because you don't get a lot at international level, especially against an England side or a Scotland side. So being relentless and going after those moments, and don't miss those moments in a game.
Mike, can I just ask you about the occasion tomorrow? Ireland never won a Cup back here in Dublin. It's against England on St. Patrick's weekend. Is that something you're tapping into, and would it be the biggest win in Irish rugby if we're to win tomorrow?
Are we tapping into it? I suppose it's going to be a great weekend. You know, I think the fans have been amazing. I think, you know, the way the boys have played has definitely gripped the nation in terms of the success we've had over the past year. But again, as a group, you know, we're not going to get too emotional about the whole thing. It's a game of rugby, and all we're doing is chasing our potential and you know, making sure that we can be ourselves in this environment. And that's pretty much what we've spoken about all week, in terms of, you know, go and be the best version of yourself. Get out there and go and play. And don't worry about the occasion. It's got nothing to do with it, really. It's about you being the best version as a rugby player you can possibly be.
How important is the crowd in a game like this?
Listen, the atmosphere, I think you can feel the buzz in the city already. You know, everybody's walking around. It's amazing, and it's just you know, you want to be in games like this. You want to be part of big things like this. It's the reason we do the job. You know, the players do their jobs, and you know, you got to thrive in this intensity. It's brilliant.
Mike, how was the training out there for the captain's run?
Yeah, good. Everybody fit and healthy. Dan and Caelan have all come through well. Obviously, Gary was jogging around a little bit, but you know, he's obviously doing the return to play after last weekend. But everybody's in a good place at the moment, so just preparing nicely. Thank you.
And Robbie Henshaw, quite a comeback from injury for him. He makes his first Six Nations start of the campaign. Yeah, well, that's the beauty about having somebody like Robbie, Gary, Stu McCluskey and Bundy. You know, the 4 of them that are fighting for positions, and you know, it's been tough to make the decisions on the back of it. But obviously with Gary out, you know, Robbie coming back in, you know, he's a world-class defender. He's, you know, probably the best defender at 13 over the past couple of years. So, you know, he's got a huge role to play tomorrow, especially with the way England can play and the threats that they've got in those wider channels. So
it's great to have Robbie back. Robbie and Bundy work exceptionally well together as well. They've got a lot of history together, so let's see what they can deliver.
It's also an extra special occasion for Josh van der Veer making his 50th cap.
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't happen to a nicer bloke, to be honest. You know, the adversity he's gone through his career and selection-wise and all that sort of stuff for him to achieve that role is huge. And he's such a humble guy. You know, he's worked exceptionally hard to be Player of the Year as well. He's an incredible guy to have in your team. You know, he leads by example, and you know, let's hope we can do him proud tomorrow.
Sorry, Pirate, you're trying to get in there.
Hi, Mike. You played obviously famously with Johnny Wilkinson. Are there any comparisons to be made between him and Sexton?
Yeah.
Differences? Yeah.
Yeah. Both obsessive. No, they love they're just completely different mental animals. They're so in the moment, they're so in the game. Everything means a hell of a lot. They're deep thinkers of the game. And it's bringing that freedom out of them so they can go and perform, really. That's the crucial thing. And but how they make people feel around them is what they're very, very good at as well. You know, when you stand next to Johnny Wilkinson or Johnny Sexton, inside or outside of him, you feel pretty special, really, you know, and it makes people around him feel good too. So, yeah, there are a lot of comparisons in there, but, you know, ultimately you've got to deliver on the big stage, and Johnny's done that. Both Johnnies did that. So let's see what Johnny can do tomorrow.
Mike, can you tell us about the mentality of your Irish team? Lots of people saying that they look like your England team of 03 in the way that they tick off these big wins. Do you see comparisons or parallels between the two sides?
I mean, I don't dwell on it too much, to be honest. I think what Andy said all week, really, is being the best version a player can be of yourself. You know, you look at guys like Mac Hansen have come into the team, Jamison Gibson Park. You know, we haven't asked them to do things that they don't do on their day-to-day stuff, you know, when they're back at their clubs. And they've thrived in that environment. And that's all we're asking for the players, is be their best version, because, you know, you never reach your potential, but you can always chase to get to that potential. And I think, you know, making something of a game of rugby is too much, I suppose. It's a game of rugby that we've all played before, and it's just about you going out and performing in that environment together and doing it together, and how cohesive we can be together to make it happen. So I think everybody that's come in has been able to be themselves, which is huge, and it gives them a lot of confidence and trust.
Mike, for the time we were out there today, everyone looked very relaxed, looked very happy. But is the squad feeling the pressure of a Grand Slam and the expectation?
No, I think the expectation is within ourselves. We knew, we set out to be in this position, and you know, fortunately we've come through some real tough games to be in this position. So for me, the expectation, there's enough expectation. We don't need to worry about anything else. We know what we need to do. The players understand what they need to do, and it's now being able to go and do it to tomorrow afternoon. So you know, the pressure hasn't ramped up at all. We love being where we are, like any other team would be. But we are coming up against a hell of an England side. So you know, there's no bones about it. It's going to be a proper test match, and a tough test match.
For Andy Farrell, the England fly half is what you might call a known quantity, I suppose, but in the sense that they've got Arundel starting his first test start on the wing, they're in the middle of a rebuild, they're coming off the back of a very painful defeat. Is there a sense that England might be a bit of an unknown quantity? You don't know quite what's going to come from them tomorrow?
No, I think, you know, we're massively respectful of that side, because if you, especially from a backline point of view, you know, you look at that backline, they've played in some big games together. You know, you've got a couple of young guys in there, but ultimately, you know, Freddie Stewart's solid as a rock on the back, and Watson's been around for ages. Manu, Slady and Owen have done some proper damage to a lot of teams. So, you know, there's no ways we're thinking any otherwise than, you know, that it's going to be a tough test match, and they've got some proper X-factor players, and I think Arundel's one of those players that we haven't seen a massive amount of, but if he gets the ball, he can cause absolute chaos. So so it's just making sure we control that, but then control what we can, how we play the game. and make sure we make the right decisions at the right time. But they are exceptionally dangerous across the board, and we're well aware of that.
Mike, you mentioned Gary Ringrose earlier on. There's been loads of concern around his well-being. How's he doing, and how involved is he?
Gary's fine. So he was up and moving around on, when did we play? Sunday night, back at the hotel with his dad. So yeah, he got back on Monday. He's been good as gold. Again, he's helping out throughout especially with the defensive stuff with Sai to be and him, Robbie, Bundy and Stu have got good relationships there. So he's been sitting in all those meetings. Yeah, Gary's Gary, and you know, he just wants what's best for the team ultimately. So he's been brilliant for us.
Good to hear. The families of the players seem to be out there today. What was the thinking around getting them?
Well, it's you know, there's a lot of sacrifice that goes in from the players' point of view, the coaches, the backroom staff, and everything. So it's always a nice little touch for the families to come in and actually see what dad does or mum does and experience an opportunity like they can, especially at the Aviva before the big noise happens tomorrow. So it's great that they can get here, and it's obviously St Patrick's Day, so which helps as well, and they're all off school, so it's fallen nicely really. But yeah, it's brilliant having your kids here and giving them the ability, because it's been a long 8 weeks, you know, together, or 12 weeks, whatever it is now, since Portugal. So, you know, there's a lot of sacrifice that goes in there. So it's great to have the families and stuff to calm it down as well.
Did you do something last night to mark Josh winning 50 caps? Did you do ceremonies?
No. Gary Ringrose presented him with a jersey in front of the team, but that was it really. Standard. A few nice words from a nice person to another nice person.
Sounds nice.
Very nice.
We'll switch into the embargo written section, unless you want to.
Actually, Mike, you talked a little bit about Johnny Sexton's mental strength. Could you just, from a technical point of view, tell us what catches your eye, what impresses you about the way he plays the game and goes about it?
I think with Johnny he's one step ahead of a game, and his thought process is exceptionally quick in terms of where the next play is going and all that sort of stuff. I think that's where he's got a real knack in terms of understanding how we want to play the game, obviously, but then him being able to see it, and then the authority he drives around the team. You know, you can't but listen to him, which is huge, really. So yeah, I would say one of the biggest things is he's one step ahead of the game, and that makes it so much easier for him and players around him to get on top of things.